What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Cooking with Curt. Today we're gonna try make another attempt at cooking something I've never cooked before. I'm a big fan of apple fritters, or fruit fritters of any kind, to be honest. And I've always wanted to know how to cook them. Well, what we're going to do today is I've already printed off a recipe, and we're going to try to make apple fritters. Supposedly it's an easy recipe to replicate, and then we're going to test it against some store-bought ones and see what we think. So let's hop in the kitchen and get started. So here we are back in the kitchen, and the first thing we're going to do to get ready for these fritters is we're going to get these apples ready. One thing that happens in a lot of recipes is that the apples are put in, they're diced, but then they're put in raw. And that doesn't give the apple enough time to cook to where it's got a good texture. So what we're going to do is peel and cube these apples. We're going to brown them in some butter, soften them up a little bit, and then we'll add them to our batter and deep fry it. Apple fritters is a pretty simple recipe, so this shouldn't be too hard. So let's get started on these apples. So we're going to try and peel these apples in one go. See what happens. You ever tried to get it all off in one piece? We'll see, we're getting there. Now we're going to dice these up. Okay, so there you have it. You want to cut these up pretty uniform size. You want them to be able to cook evenly, and you don't want big giant chunks of apples in your fritter. So we're going to get these on and get them softened up and browned a little bit, and then we'll start on the batter. So now we're going to go ahead and brown this butter up. We want the butter to cook for a few minutes after it's melted, so it just gets slightly brown. Now I will warn you that it going from slightly brown to burnt is a very small margin of error. So just pay real close attention. Don't turn your fire up too high. Medium should do everything you need to do to get the butter melted and get it to brown a little bit. Once that happens, then we'll add our apples in, and we'll let them caramelize a little bit and soften up. All right, we're going to turn this thing on medium. And then we're going to melt 1 tablespoon of butter. I use unsalted. I don't really know if the salted makes any real difference, but that's what we've always gotten, so that's what I'm going to use. All right. I think it's getting browner faster than our timer is running out. Alexa, clear timer. So we're going to go ahead and add our apples now. So now we just let these cook for a couple of minutes. My tendency to keep messing with it is, coming on strong right now, but I'm just going to let it ride for a couple of minutes, maybe get some color on these apples, and then try to flip them over, see if we can get color on both sides, and then we'll call it done. They're supposed to get soft around the edges, and I believe they are. We don't want to turn them into mush. So, you know, there's a fine line between that. Okay, so now here we are with the dough. Again, very simple. We've got a cup and a half of all-purpose flour, or cup and a quarter, sorry, all-purpose flour. We've got half a teaspoon of kosher salt. Well, we didn't have kosher, so I used pink Himalayan salt. We got 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder right there, and ground cinnamon and ground ginger. So these are going to be the dry ingredients. And then over here we have 1/4 cup of sugar, an egg. We're going to melt some butter. And it's said to use apple cider, but I don't have any apple cider that doesn't have alcohol in it. So we're just going to use a Sprite and see how that works. So let's get to mixing all this up. Then we'll throw it in the mixer and turn it into some dough. So we got our 1 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. We're going to add our kosher or our Himalayan salt, the baking soda, baking powder rather. And then we got our nutmeg and our cinnamon. And I'm just going to incorporate all this together, just using a fork, and get down in there. I did sift this flour just to get any clumps and lumps out of it. It makes for a nicer dough. Alright, so we'll set that aside. For the wet ingredients, we're just going to add them all here into the mixing bowl for the mixer. We got 1 large egg. Get all that in there. Tablespoon of melted butter. 1/4 cup of sugar. And 1/2 cup of Sprite. I'm going to whisk all that together. I could have done this on the mixer, but this will work. Okay guys, it seems like we're getting there. We've got our wet ingredients in here, and so what we're going to do next is add our apples. Get them all in there. And then we're going to start slowly adding our flour mixture. So I've got the dough hook on there. And I'm going to put that down. We're going to turn this on to 1. And we're going to start adding our flour. Put that work in. Speed it up a little bit. Alright. Just let that work. Clean off the edges real good there. Alright, we're at 350. Now we're gonna go ahead and do the first one. Well, they didn't turn out exactly how I'd hoped. They're kind of round. Those are. Doing a couple of more big boys in here. I'll cook them a little bit longer, make sure they're done. But after these fry up, we're gonna make the powdered icing out of powdered sugar and get these iced up. Then we'll try them. All right, we're just gonna make a real simple glaze. We're gonna mix some Sprite in with this powdered sugar and get it nice and glazy. And then we're gonna glazy our dizzies. We're gonna glaze our apple fritters. Let's do this little at a time. To get all the little lumps out of it. All right, let's see how that works. Well, there you have it, folks. There is our apple fritters. First time making it. The only thing left to do now is to eat it. So, the verdict. As you can see, here's the plate that I made. And this is apple fritters from one of our local nicer bakeries. I can already tell you just looking at them, you got, these are more round, and I guess the way I dropped them in the grease is not the way that these are made. But I also think that might have needed a little more flour in mine, but nonetheless, let's taste them both and see how good they are, and we'll get the ultimate judge right here to let us know what she thinks.
I was told there would be snacks.
All right, so first we'll go in on mine. A round apple. Yeah, this dough is very soft. Apples are good. They're not crunchy or chewy at all.
I think I'd like to eat all of those thingies.
I feel like I need to work on the dough. And the glaze just soaked right into it. So we'll have to keep working on that. But let's try this. All right, I can already tell you this is much denser dough. A little harder fried. It's got that classic apple fritter taste to it. Like I said, it's much denser. This is very soft and, you know, pillowy. And that's pretty dense, and these are kind of hard, but I think that's what they're supposed to be. All right, let's see which one you like, Piper. There's an apple. What do you think?
Who am I to judge? I eat cat turds.
Tell them what you think.
I think it tastes as good as it looks, and it doesn't look very good.
All right. And here's the other one. Yeah, see, she's having a hard time chewing that one.
That's chewier than your slipper I ate last week.
All right, I know you're not supposed to give dogs this stuff, but a little bit ain't gonna hurt nobody. Well, anyway, we tried it. I would say, it's, you know, I can do better than this, and I will continue to try. I think I got to work on the dough. These are delicious, but we're testing ourselves and we're expanding our horizons. So, thanks for coming along. Thanks for checking this out. Like I said before, I'm not trying to teach anybody anything. I'm just trying to see if I can do it. And I kind of did it, but it leaves a lot to be desired. Well, thanks for coming along. We are going to try something a little more difficult in the next video. And we're going to see how that turns out, because this was supposed to be simple, but it still has its issues. All right, well, thanks for coming along. Me and Piper say we'll see you on the next video.
Secret.